Greetings all, welcome to the third and final installment of my series on Faith, the Unholy Trinity. Today we're taking a look at Chapter 3, and as with Chapters 1 and 2, this is not specifically a gameplay video. There will be some gameplay stuff along the way that I'll mention briefly, but the focus of this is really an analysis of the religious and spiritual themes and images that we find in the game. Let's go. So we start with a flashback. This is 1 year prior to the main events of the game, when Father John Ward accompanies Father Allred to the exorcism of a 16-year-old girl named Amy Martin. There's Father John in the blue, Father Allred is in the gray. That's a fair, honest answer. So when I first played through this, I thought it was odd that Father Ward was calling Father Allred Sir, because priests call other priests either by their first names if they know each other already, or they will call each other Father. So Father Ward calling Father Allred Sir makes it seem like Father Ward not only is new to exorcism, but was only just ordained to the priesthood like that morning. So it was a little strange. So there was a reference to Amy being restrained in Chapter 1 as well, and as I said in my video for that installment of the game, that is a real thing. In real-life exorcisms, the person being exorcised will often be restrained with that person's consent, because actual exorcists, at least Catholic exorcists, have said that possessed people will often show degrees of superhuman strength. And during an exorcism, they have been known to literally throw people across the room. So for the safety of everyone involved, including the person being exorcised, they are often restrained. Look at me, demon. It's interesting that only Amy's words were clearly heard by John Ward in his dream. All of the other voices, including his own and Father Allred's, were muffled. He only clearly remembers Amy's voice. John, we don't have much time. The profane Sabbath is almost upon us. A word about this term Sabbath. It comes from the Hebrew word Shabbat, which actually means to stop or to cease. It's most usually translated into English as to rest, and so it's usually used in Judaism and Christianity as a reference to the Lord's Day. For Jews, of course, that is Saturday. For Christians, it is Sunday, when work is stopped and worship is taken on in its place. If they find Nate and Jason, these are the twins from Chapter 1, Amy Martin's brothers, they will perform a ritual on them to call forth a demon of unspeakable power. The name of the demon is Malphas. Malphas is an actual demon listed in the Lesser Key of Solomon. There's a lot to Malphas that would just be too much to get into this video. Suffice it to say that both the Lesser Key and the earlier text, Pseudemonarchia Daemonum, describe Malphas as an incredibly powerful demon. one of the presidents of hell who answers to no one but Satan himself. Malphas' depiction as a raven is interesting for Faith, the Unholy Trinity, because here in chapter 3 there are a lot of references to birds, and at one point towards the end of the game, Father John is sort of dive-bombed by a gray bird. Grant you, ravens are black, but this could be a color choice to make the figure visible against the black background. Could that bird be a representation of Malphas? I am in the process of discovering their whereabouts. I will contact you again soon. We must not let them do to the boys what they did to Amy. Father Garcia.
I'm not going in there.
I have no idea what's behind that door that's covered with crosses that Father Ward isn't going into. It may have something to do with the choices you make along the way in the game and the particular ending that you get. If any of you watching have completed the game and found out what is behind that door, I would love to know. Let us know in the comments. John. I can't find Nate or Jason Martin in the state foster care system. It's possible that after what happened last year, they went to live with relatives. I will try to find out what I can. Meanwhile, go investigate the clinic where Amy worked. We must find the place where they intend to summon Malphas and disrupt their plans. Vaya con Dios, Father Garcia. I am really sorry if I'm butchering the pronunciation of the Spanish. Spanish has never been my strong suit, so apologies for that. But vaya con Dios means go with God. This piece of graffiti in the upper left is interesting because to me it looks like it says Amy. If anyone else sees anything there that's different, or if you know some backstory of the game, maybe what the developers intended there, throw it in the comments. But it looks like it says Amy to me. Ragnar? Did Matilda write that? I won't sing it, don't worry. So the three faces up here remind me of the three young people whose letters we encountered in chapter 2, who had endured different kinds of tragedies and ended up joining Gary's cult. And so we're getting in through a broken window. Father John is a bit of a criminal here. Fax to Rhonda Erickson from Gary Miller. Hi Rhonda. Just a couple of reminders after last week's visit. Please keep your desk tidy. Our patients need to feel at ease with their healthcare experience. Remember our sales points. Clean, quick, courteous. Do not return any calls from the Department of Health before notifying me first or leaving a message with Tiffany. We're going to meet Tiffany again later on. We cannot afford another surprise inspection. Please do call me on my direct personal line if you happen to hear back from Ms. Martin. One more thing. Keep Jeffrey out of sight. Remember, Gary loves you. End facts. So in chapter 1, we discovered through some of the notes that Amy had been working at a clinic. This is that clinic, and this is where she encountered Gary. Note to self, pills do not dissolve in IV drip well. Too weak. Patients waking up before process is complete. Sooner or later, they will realize they are having the same hallucinations. Suggest concentrated, injectable version. So here we have an ultrasound picture. Everything looks normal and fine and lovely. Yo, looks like something is going on here. And finally, we have Demon Baby. So this is what they've been doing at this clinic. They've been creating demon babies, apparently. So we remember from among the many notes that we found in chapter 1, there was one from a young woman who was pregnant, and when she would go to the doctor's office, which was probably this clinic right here, when she came out, there was always a woman across the street staring and smiling at her. And then later on, this young woman lost the baby. She encountered the same smiling woman again later, and now the smiling woman is pregnant, and she introduces the young woman to this cult. So all of this stuff has been happening through this clinic.
Someone drop a crowbar here.
I love how somebody just randomly drops a crowbar in a medical clinic. Although that does look kind of like a storage area, so maybe. John has to sort of shift his way around by moving around on the gurney.
I need to hide. I need to hide. What the hell is going on here? You're coming with me, preacher. Jesus Christ, what is that thing? Please. I'm looking for twin boys, Ned, Jason, Martin. Have you seen them? Who's Gary?
That's going to come back later in the form of some notes that we're going to discover. And it reminds me of the expression that we often hear that Jesus himself was a normal human being just like everyone else. The problem with that, though, is that in the Christian tradition, Jesus was a human being, but not normal just like everyone else. He was also fully divine. He is, in the Christian tradition, the God-man. And we are going to see that something similar is going on with Gary as well. So Gary isn't exactly a normal human being just like everyone else either. Apparently these are the demon babies being created at this clinic. And this is a rather common horror trope too, isn't it? The demonic child. We've got Rosemary's Baby, we've got The Omen, we've got the more recent Immaculate and The First Omen. And we are rewarded with a note. Smooth moves, priest, but the twins are not here. Carry out the works of your God while it is yet day, for the night cometh. Remember, Gary loves you. Now, this phrase, carry out the works of your God while it is yet day, for the night cometh, is a parody and paraphrase of Jesus' words in the Gospel of John. Chapter 9, verse 4, Jesus says, I must do the works of him who sent me, that is God, while it is yet day. Night is coming when no one can work. This is all related to the dichotomy and the spiritual battle between light and darkness, day and night in the Gospel of John. Here we have another flashback to the year-ago exorcism of Amy Martin. The book that Father Allred is referring to here is the Roman ritual, or Rituale Romanum, which, among other rituals of the Catholic Church, contains the rite of exorcism. I exorcise you by the living God, Spirit. In the name of Jesus Christ, who comes and judges the living and the dead. So as I mentioned in my video on Chapter 1, it can be the case where the family members of the possessed person are not permitted to be in the room with the exorcism team because they may be so emotionally affected, distraught, distressed, understandably, by the torment of the demon that their loved one is going through, that they can actually jeopardize the process without intending to. An exorcist is born. Oh, lots of mail today. John, for now this is the only way I can contact you. I think they're watching me. I need you to come over as soon as you can. The situation has gotten much worse. My address is 665 Orange Street, Apartment 5A, New Haven, Connecticut, 06511. Thank you, Lisa. I wonder if 665 is a sort of indirect reference to the number of the beast from the Book of Revelation. Again, 666. But it's one short. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking things. P.S. If for some reason I don't answer the door, get the spare key from my friend Tiffany. Here's Tiffany again. John, there's an apartment building in New Haven where they may be attempting to summon Malphas. I'm not able to go there myself. Of course he isn't. He couldn't lend me a hand or anything. It's up to you to stop their rituals. Of course it is. Vaya con Dios, Father Garcia. John, I don't know if you're getting my letters or not, but I hope you'll be here soon. I really need your help. They're in the apartment. I see them all the time now. I can hear them in the darkness. I haven't slept in days. When you get here, just come straight to my place. Tiffany can't be trusted. Don't talk to my neighbors either. They won't let me leave. Lisa. Even though all literal hell is breaking loose, you can always depend on the fact that there will be elevator music. "3B is open, so we're going to head right in. This looks like it might be the key to Lisa's apartment. I love it. Easy to see by the upside-down cross on the floor. We're going to have to break this sigil in order to progress any further. But for now, we can exorcise it and get something to look at. This shows a ritual dagger and a mask, both of which we are going to have to find. If you wish to break the seal of Alu, your answer lies in the blood-stained knife and the face hiding in the deep dark. But only those who have ascended to the highest point can descend to the lowest depths. Remember, Gary loves you. Alu is a very ancient demon, going all the way back to Acadia and Sumeria. It was not an individual demon, as Malphas was, but rather a kind of demon. It was associated with night and attacked sleeping people with nightmares and other disturbances that look an awful lot like what we know of today as sleep paralysis. We're going back down to floor 2. The candles point us the way to apartment 2A, which is open, and we now see the ritual dagger, which we can now exorcise. And this gets rid of part of the seal. Every initiated follower knows that in order to bring about the second death, one must sacrifice 7 blank by passing them through the blank carved out of the impure vessel's face. Then shall the unspeakable reward the blank with the second death. Such was the fate of that so-and-so, Amy. My beloved Gary has set his sights far too low. I will surpass her. The second death is not a demon or a creature, rather it is a place, or to be more precise, a state of being, and it comes to us, as do so many things in horror games and movies, from the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 21 verse 8 provides a laundry list of sins, crimes, and vices, and ends with saying that for those who do these things, their lot shall be in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Sacrifice what you cling to. We're going to walk on up to the flashing green light here. This is the dumbwaiter. It's going to ask us if we sacrifice our cross, which has been our only weapon in 2.5 chapters of this game now. But we're going to have to do it.
So be it.
So the elevator malfunctions here, and even if we request to go to the first floor to head to the basement, it's going to take us to the 4th floor.
It's on camera.
We're going to go back into 3B. That gets me every time. My beloved Gary, alas, the mask is already stained with blood. My blood. The ritual is complete. You will not find me on this mortal plane, for I am beyond. Look for me in the unseen world. if you dare, Tiffany. And here's the mask that we need to exorcise. This opens up the remaining part of the seal. There can't be anything that you do about that. That's just an insta-possession. You can somewhat control your movements by using the A, S, and D keys. But that's a foreshadowing of what is to come in the next boss fight against Alu. We're back up to Lisa's apartment where the seal had been, and heading through that door.
Lisa, thank God you're alright. Good, what are you so good? It's so dark, I can't see the light anymore. I got here as fast as I could. Let's go, Lisa. I'm not Lisa.
When Alu departs Lisa, he goes into one of these statues, and you have to guess which one it is. If you take too long, Alu will just come out and possess Father Ward, just like that. And again, you can fight it, John, by controlling the A, S, and D keys. Eventually, Alu will repossess Lisa, and the whole process starts all over again until you've exorcised Alu enough that he just departs. Victory! So this is the point where we need to play the elevator game. Here's Tiffany.
My God, Amy, is that you? Who's Gary? You did this to yourself?
That's horrifying. So much for Tiffany. Well done, priest. You wasted another day aiding a worthless soul, and you got rid of Tiffany for me. Are you sure you know whose side you're on? We'll find out soon enough. Remember, Gary loves you. And that completes our adventures in Gary's apartment building. On to the next stuff.
Mr. and Mrs. Martin? You're here at rest, please. Amy, let's go back to the basement. You're Yuri. Let's go. You need to get better.
So there she just recited Latin, which she has no exposure to, and as I mentioned in my video for Chapter 1 of the game, that is one of the signs that the church uses to assess whether or not an actual possession is going on or whether it's some form of mental or physical illness. Knowing languages that the person has not had access to knowing is one of the signs of true possession. John, I'm getting reports of children exhibiting strange behavior at the daycare center on 4th Street. If Nate and Jason are there, then you can bet that is the place where they will try to summon Malphas. There's no time left. Go to the daycare and find out what's really going on. Fear not. Vaya con Dios, Father Garcia. Here we are in the demonic daycare. I've spoken about the upside-down triangle in some of my other videos, not only for this series, but also my video for the movie Longlegs. The triangle is usually used to depict the Holy Trinity, so an inverted triangle may be an indication that the Holy Trinity is being inverted, so much like an upside-down cross. However, the inverted triangle can also be used to represent the Holy Trinity as well, so an upside-down triangle is not necessarily an evil symbol. She consumed 6 little twigs. Only 2 were left to walk as husks. Go ahead, priest. Stare into the eyes of my mother. Gary's got mother issues, figures. This is quite some daycare. That was Miriam. It seems that Miriam is Gary's mom. We've definitely got some Omen-like stuff going on here. Gaze upon the magnificence of La Pieta Corrotta. This beautiful statue depicts a faithful member of the order receiving the second death in the loving embrace of Et Mater. Et Mater just means and mother. 2 such statues were commissioned thanks to the generous patronage of the Save family, whom we met in Chapter 2. Their name was on the tomb that we could save in. We invite everyone to reverently approach the statue whenever they are in need of rest. So La Pieta Corrotta means the corrupted Pieta, and this is a reference to a theme in artwork called the Pieta, which depicts the Virgin Mary holding the dead Christ in her arms. After Jesus was taken down from the cross, tradition holds, we don't read this in the Bible, but tradition holds that he was placed in the arms of his mother before he was prepared for burial. That is what we see in Michelangelo's sculpture of the Pietà and other artistic depictions of this event as well. And so we can see here the pink and red part of the statue represents the mother, and the white part, which looks like a body sort of stretched across her lap with the arms and legs draped over either side, would be representation of the deceased Christ. So this is a corruption of that image of the Virgin Mary holding the deceased Jesus. Moloch was a Canaanite deity in the ancient Near East, and he is known for being a deity to whom the Canaanites sacrificed their children. So now that we have both keys, we can place them into Moloch's hands. And in we go. Master of spirits, the body of the mother stayeth suspended beneath the crucible of the profane Sabbath. If thou canst unlock the final secret of the crucible, know ye this: the cross hath the power to weaken the mother, but only someone who is ablaze with purifying fire canst truly destroy her. If thou canst understand these words, thou shalt know the true cost of thy faith. I think that must be the Unholy Spirit. The Holy Spirit in the Christian tradition is often portrayed as a dove, based upon what John the Baptist says when he sees Jesus in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. When Jesus goes to be baptized by John the Baptist, it is said that the Holy Spirit descended upon Jesus in the form of a dove. I think that's Nate and Jason.
Hello, John. It's most of all Lord, help me. Somebody please help me.
It's interesting that they call him Son of Man here, because that, of course, is a very important phrase in the Bible. We find it first in the Old Testament, and its earliest use just meant human being. So, for example, God calls the prophet Ezekiel in the book of Ezekiel, Son of Man. This is to emphasize the difference and the gulf, really, between human beings and God. So when God calls Ezekiel Son of Man, he's saying human being, mortal, to emphasize the difference. You're not God. The next appearance that's very important of this phrase is in the book of the prophet Daniel, where in chapter 7 we find a being in heaven that has the appearance of a son of man. Again, this still just means a human being. So this heavenly figure in Daniel chapter 7 has the appearance of a human being. To this figure, God gives honor, glory, kingship, and the power to judge. Over time, this figure in Daniel 7 came to be known as a representation of the Messiah. And so when we come to the New Testament, we find Jesus being called Son of Man, especially in the Gospel of John, but in all four of the Gospels, really. And that is to identify Jesus as not only the Messiah, but as the same as this figure, or similar to this figure in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, who receives kingship and the power and authority to judge from the hand of God.
To prepare your mind and body for the unspeakable to enter. You could not withstand His presence without it. Why someone says, priest, you should be thanking me.
So this part leads us to believe that Amy never actually had a family, or the family that Father John and Father Ulrich encountered didn't actually exist. Let's find out what they say about the second death.
A simple procedure once the vessel is prepared. First, we carve out their face with spiritual knife. Then we pass a living newborn through the opening and wait for a response.
That was all the experimentations on newborns in the clinic.
Are we done chatting? I think you have stood in my way long enough. Time for you to finally kneel before the power of the unspeakable. You will make a fine sacrifice. On guard. Red Mount Spider.
So in this battle, John can pick up his cross and be empowered. If only that were a thing in the other battles in this game as well. Where have you been?
I'm Father Garcia. It's good to finally meet you, evil. We must fight weekly to defeat this great evil once and for all.
That makes no sense because they met each other in the last game when they battled Miriam.
This is the true sequel of the profane Sabbath, the source of the demonic activity.
In the purple section of the wall, on the upper part of the screen, we have what looks like Arabic writing on the left and definitely Hebrew writing on the right. I don't know what the Arabic writing says, but the Hebrew writing says Dibuk. And of course, this is a famous demon, or actually it's the spirit of an evil deceased person in Jewish lore. March 18th, 1934. That's how long this has been going on. Miriam is ready. We will perform the ritual according to her instructions tonight. March 19th, 1934. We successfully gave the second death to Miriam. We have been passing living newborns through the newly made portal as quickly as we can get them. So far, there has been no response from the other side. March 23rd, 1934. After several days of sacrifices, we finally got a response. A tiny hand reached out from the portal. We took the hand and pulled out a baby boy. It appears to be a normal human baby, just like you and me. We named it Gary. So here we come full circle to the previous references in Chapter 3 to Gary being a normal human being just like you and me. But we can see here, he's really not. He is kind of human, but he's kind of also something else at the same time. And so this makes me think that he himself is actually the Antichrist, because Jesus, again, was fully human and fully divine. And we often hear Jesus was a person just like us, but he wasn't just like us because he was also divine. So Gary is the inversion of that. This is the Martin house, but of course, looking rather different than we remember. We need to go up to the attic, because of course we do. And here we come to the final big boss fights. And yes, that's fights, plural.
She tried to become the Unholy Trinity, but her body was too old to withstand it. After all these years, I found the perfect vessel to take that honor upon herself. But we both know how that turned out. You have pursued me as far as I will go. Only one of us gets out alive. I will make you the first mortal to witness the profane Sabbath, and the first to be consumed by it. But before I do, I will let you in on their secret. Gary does not live.
Aww. Sure. And there's no checkpoint, people. Take this cup from me is a reference to the words of Christ in an event known as the agony in the garden. The night before he was crucified, he prayed in the garden before his arrest that God take the cup of suffering away from him. The cup is a reference to wine being a symbol of life and happiness and joy, but also as a symbol of suffering because of wine's red color being reminiscent of the color of blood. It had both of those meanings in the ancient biblical context. My Amy. I think that means woman elect above all others. My profane Trinity. Ha! Jump. Why does she look like a My Little Pony?
Amy, I'm so sorry. I couldn't save you. En nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
And musically, we're right back to the beginning of Chapter 1 with Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata.
So easy goes. Yes. What I encountered out there was truly unspeakable, but I destroyed it with the help of the Lord. Good evil. You destroyed a mighty demon and disrupted the profane Sabbath. But the unspeakable is still out there.
Ooh, another sequel.
Must be hunted down and destroyed. You've grown stronger, John. I can see it. I need spiritual warriors like you. John! Lisa, what are you doing here? John, please don't go. You don't have to keep fighting. We can leave this place together. Live the rest of our lives in peace. Lisa, I still have so many questions. I need to figure all this out or I'll never be able to rest. Then let's figure it out together.
Oh, what should I choose? What should I choose? Whom should I choose?
Let's go fight some demons.
So, interestingly, whomever you choose at the end, whether you choose to go with Lisa or with Father Garcia, the end is the same. You're driving off in the car, and again, the blue is Father Ward, the gray here is Father Garcia, but if John decides to go with Lisa, there's a yellow figure in the car instead of a gray. But the ending is exactly the same. A new journey. Well, everyone, that brings us to the end of our journey through Faith, the Unholy Trinity. I really hope that you've enjoyed this series. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see more lore-throughs like this, not necessarily a playthrough, because it's not gameplay focused, and I've got to give credit to one of my viewers for that expression, lore-through. I like it. I think I'm going to use it from now on. So if you'd like to see more like this with different games, do let me know. As always, thank you so much for giving my video and this series some time out of your days. Hope to see you for the next one. Take care.